Fremont School District Board of Education. Notice is hereby given that members of the Board of Education will be gathered together for ATS R Presentation on Thursday, January 15th at 6:30 p.m. in the Weyauwega Fremont Middle School IMC. The quorum of the Board of Education may be present, but no official action is required.
So welcome everyone to our session this evening. Dean is back from ATS R to communicate out the findings from our community input session that started on October 9th. And we had 3 sessions over the fall, and we finished in the month of November. And since then, Dean's compiled the results and is here this evening to talk about some of the option developments that came about from the different task force and what they saw and some of the opportunities to bring forward for the board to consider tonight to continue on with our future discussion. So, Dean, I'm going to check the phone and then I'll be right back in.
Okay, thanks for having me again. Happy New Year. Another start, we made it another year. That's pretty neat. I think you hired me probably a year ago, maybe 2. Isn't it crazy how we're all a year older? Crazy. Anyway, thank you very much for having me. It's nice to be back. You sure live in a beautiful area. I really have appreciated getting to know the community members and staff and talking to students, and that's the neat part of my job is I get to reach out and learn more about communities. So you got 240,000 square feet. You're like Hollywood movie stars. You own that much buildings. It's quite a responsibility to maintain them and keep them going for the students and the staff. And so I commend you for looking at keeping them healthy. I commend you for caring about the students and caring about the future of Weyauwega Fremont. So the goal of these studies is to teach you to learn, for me to learn, so I can teach you what the students are saying, what the staff are saying, what your building conditions are physically and education. And so we've been through it a couple times. There's always another level of detail to understand, to talk about. We try to put it on paper so that you can form your own opinions. And you are the keepers of the 239,000 square feet. You're the keepers of the students' future. And so the community group was great. They worked hard. We had 3 sessions, as Scott said. We tried to teach them the condition of the building, the educational advocacy. And we asked them questions. They reported them. If you have those in some of your documents. And so I'd like to share with you kind of what they said, bring you the message. That's what you had asked us to go and do. So we tried to do our homework, get things going. So in the first meeting, we basically tried to teach them about what this is all about. This is all about fixing your schools so that you have good fresh air, you have natural light, 21st century schools that offer students a variety of learning spaces for the single person, the classroom size, the group of 4, and the large group. And so when we go through your buildings, some of these spaces are lacking. And they're lacking in many of the 50s, 60s, and 70s buildings across America. The facility study came in and said that, between 14 and around $14 million to fix the facilities for mechanical, electrical, plumbing. You start adding into that some remodeling to start addressing some of these items. You get into the 25 million, 26 million. That kind of is what became option 1 for the group. The narrative on the facilities basically says your mechanical equipment's in pretty good shape for all the buildings. Your buildings are in good shape for relative to the age of the buildings. Your buildings are 40, 50, 60 years old. You know, the 91 middle school is doing pretty good. The roof is starting to tire. Mechanically, though, even though your equipment is good, some of your equipment isn't supplying enough fresh air to the students. So the newer requirements talk about the advantages of oxygen in classrooms and the advantages of having enough oxygen in the classrooms for teaching and learning. Your controls for your mechanical equipment are pneumatic, are run by air pressure in a tube instead of digitally DDC or digital computerized control. So it's harder to control your system. These are big buildings, so you get hot and cold rooms, and it's harder to effectively control zones, thus making your systems a little, possibly a little less efficient because they're less responsive because it's working as a whole and it's trying to respond. Some of your electrical services are old. They're bones of the electricity that come into the buildings. Fremont, I think it's single phase, and I think Weyauwega Elementary single phase. And so to upgrade those for the increased power needs that we have in today's education with additional projectors and computers and other devices. Schools are like kitchens. You never have enough plug-ins, it seems, all the gadgets that are needed in them. Technology-wise, you're doing good. You have a good backbone, and I think your wireless is spotty. You know, that's something that everyone's working on when you got kind of a masonry building. Materials are materials. You know, the 70s and 60s buildings, single pane windows in some areas. You get an R1 out of each quarter-inch piece of glass, so that's good for fresh air. Fix your windows and you even have worse fresh air because you got less fresh air coming in. It's not very effective fresh air, but that's part of the advantage of that. But you know, there's some heat loss there. There's some discomfort there when you're student or staff near the glass, uncomfortable when so much air is coming in. So that's just kind of an update. You know, floors, lockers, ceilings, lights, you know, doors. The American Disabilities Act tells us by federal statute to allow the handicapped public access to all public spaces. So that gives us toilet rules where you have to have a 5-foot circle and a toilet stall for somebody in a chair to be able to move. You're supposed to have 18 inches on the side of the door on the pool side. You're supposed to have a type of a lever instead of a knob. You know, there's a lot of rules that weren't made when you built a lot of your earlier buildings that, you know, your building's not in compliance. Nobody's going to say anything to you. But thinking on the other side, if you have a handicapped student, there's some deficiencies there. Most of your buildings are pretty much one story, so you're not having as much vertical. Breakout spaces also we talked about the importance to have that space in between the classroom and the library, which you have a library and classrooms, and you know your cafeteria is full, your gyms are full, your hallways are narrow with lockers in them. You know, there's a lot of energy in the school and less places to pause, less places to go other than the classroom and library. And 21st century institutions or schools are finding that these complementary spaces between the library and the classroom are enhancing student learning, collaboration, teaming, retrieval of information. You know, libraries are different today than they were, where you went to the library to retrieve information. There's so much information now that students gather that other than the library. But where do they do that? Where do they charge their devices? Where do they talk to each other? Where do they meet? So we showed in option 1, we feel in your middle school and your high school, you're lacking these spaces. So I don't have any stock in breakout spaces that I'm trying to sell, but I do believe that schools do need these complementary rooms instead of just more rooms of the same size. So in option one, we took out 2 classrooms in the high school, in the middle of the high school. You got a high percentage of interior classrooms in your middle school and your high school that don't have natural light. And many studies talk about the advantages of natural light for learning and the advantages of fresh air, oxygen for learning. So by taking 2 of the classrooms out, conceptually you could have a space like this. And we did that twice in option one will show. So the scale of this, where you're joining the classrooms together and you're giving the students that sense of relief, that place in between the library and the commons. On option one, we also popped the roof up in these spaces in the middle of the high school and the middle school. So clear story lighting will bring in some light into the middle of the building to propose even little nooks that you can design in to pause and stop. Libraries, the different variety of seating. I don't represent any seating. That's usually furniture you purchase, but there's a lot of innovative furniture out there that many schools are looking to, other than the traditional desk and the traditional table. Soft seats with tablet arms, benches, booths, high counter tables, tall tables in classrooms in the back so that the sight line is better. Other things that groups are doing is a traditional hallway with classrooms on either side. We call that bells and cells. Taking a few of the classrooms out, as I just noted, so that those 4 classrooms have a sense of togetherness, those common spaces between the common things that groups are doing. An example of the center breakout space in the school we've done in southern Minnesota, where you got your center breakout and your 8 classrooms in science around. So they have a center park. So the old hallway that used to come down here has increased its importance. Other than a highway or a freeway or an expressway, it now is a quieter, pausing campus almost. The highway's out there, the highway's down here. When you come in here, you'll see there's no lockers in here. It's a quieter atmosphere that can 10 students down, you can take a whole class out. It's kind of like a coffee shop where there's a lot of people in there, a lot going on, and other times there's a few people. Come in there, you can pick your own seat if not many people are there, or you can take the seat yourself. We talked to the group about secure entries. Many of the schools built 50s, 60s, 70s put offices often in the middle of the building because the administration was thought to be the heart of the school that you want supervision around. Many of the schools have people come in similar to yours, and then they hope they come in and check in, or they just go. And so we're tightening schools up across the country. And this one is a simple adding of a door here. After all the students are in, the visitor parking here, these doors are locked. Everybody coming in has to come in this way and come in this way. So simple secure entries we talked to you about, and the group favored those ideas. These were community input workshops prior to the group getting together. When we asked the community, when we were working on, we had that input workshop with the community as a reminder. This is what they felt, notations or bullets or acknowledgments on a piece of paper that we gave them. So step back, we talked about what the high school important items were from the staff, non-prioritized, the top 10 that came out of it. Student input, they're looking for the hallways are narrow and crowded, more space for technology, things we talked about. Need basic collaboration spaces, places to group. Few other, student commons, cafeteria, better ventilation. So we went over the educational analysis as a reminder. The red are items that are below your state standards for size for what that subject is for 28 students. So if there's less students in it, that's fine. Or it helps if you start at 840 square feet is kind of a low part, and you probably can't see it, but for a classroom of 28, nice 870 is good, 760 is not good. Science wants to be 1,300 to 1,500 for the lab lecture. You have 1,100 on each of these. So you got some 700 square foot spaces. Your admin, you'll notice, the need for conference rooms and proper size offices, proper size near station, handicap toilet. The cafeteria is tight, stage is tight. The lobby space, public space is tight. The corridors with lockers on both sides. Really is, might be a frightening experience for a younger student trying to get through there when all the football players have their backpacks on and are lounging back. The weight room is tight. Ag. So this was that option one that we talked to them about, where it started to create some of the openness. So the middle school, we took a couple classrooms out. And it's not necessarily the idea of what's in that room now, it's what could we make this. So all these ideas can change, but it's just an idea to start saying, let's get natural items to the middle of the building. Let's get rid of some of the interior classrooms so that all these rooms come through here. This is kind of an open breakout, taking the bottom part of the library and finding the edge of it where students could be inside or out of the library, but there's kind of an internal circulation path. So for the middle school, you're starting to enhance the groups so that they don't have to go around in here. They can come through this way. At the high school, we took these two and these two rooms out, redefined the library, brought science, resized the science, brought in a student commons, cafeteria, with locker commons into this area, kitchen. So you get your breakout. That's showing those pictures of these four rooms have kind of that relationship, and these four rooms have that relationship, the right size science rooms. So we dabbled in it. We didn't solve all the issues, but we kind of took a stab at it. There's that picture of the breakout spaces and bringing natural light into it. The orange is remodeled. The work in the green. You can kind of see it in 3D. That's those classrooms that we're going to break out. So we broke down for the group, we broke down facility study into categories. 1 and 2 are the mechanical, electrical, priority 1 items. High efficiency is a centralized system of air distribution. Low efficiency is individual units in each room. The group voted on it and overwhelmingly picked the high efficiency as a desire, so all the rest of the options included high efficiency solutions for all the schools. You'll see that we have exterior walls, interior finishes, toilet remodel, new exterior windows. So we put them through an exercise, and we had them, we gave them this packet of paper. They sat down in groups. They basically went through each school and said, I think there's 5 or 6 groups. Okay, this is the one we want. We don't think that's important. We think this is important. We think this is. We don't think that is. So we compiled a list that I'll show you of what each group felt should be included in the repair of the facility. That was a high efficiency on the left, centralized air systems, low efficiency individual systems. Basically, low efficiency costs less to install, but costs more to operate, and the single source of energy coming from one place in the classroom, not quite as good as for acoustics. So then we kept going on items 7 through 16, things that we heard from them, from the groups. We individually priced them, so you get a feel for what they are, and that's so they also order on the 7 through 16. So we went through the middle school, same things, the options, the repair list. We had them look at that. Same for the elementary, the deficiencies in red. We taught them what the community said, what the staff said, what the students said. The red are small sizes. On option 1, we felt a gym would be important additions, so that you have proper-sized library and cafeteria, and you can move music into the old library. A 3D look at Weyauwega Elementary with just the gym. We did the same thing for the elementary with the numbers and what they picked. Same with Fremont. We taught them what Fremont was about. But option 1 was to put a gym on, free the existing gym up as a cafeteria and serving. But we didn't really address the secure entry on this one, which came out to be an important component. This is a very difficult secure entry issue because the traditional Main Street entry with no parking to the north, I believe that's north of the top middle, but all the parking is over to the east. So you don't have much land to the east. It almost comes down to you need an admin addition to get administration near the parking. And, the students are on the south. You hate to bring a lot of energy to the south for entry. But it can be accomplished if you 3D view of Fremont. Go through the options, have an overall chart of what they have. That was the first meeting. Got them all juiced up. So then we started to see some results. You can start to see their work from last time, what they started to do. This was one of the 6 groups, or group 1. They sat and worked very hard in their groups. We played soothing music and served refreshments. So the checks are what they thought was important. Okay. So we compiled the list of all the groups and all the checks. Some groups wanted more, some wanted less. Tried to get some funny notes on each one. So Steve thought closing Fremont was important, but one person on group 2 felt the little checks on the right. So you always have, when you're in a group, it's not a single voice. So there's just a lot of expression on these items. You can see this group decided to have each person put a mark next to what they felt was important. So nobody thought number 4 was important, which is the interior finishes. But 3 of the people thought that toilet remodeling was critical at the high school, all the way down. So we started to understand what they all wanted. This group thought that that's a lot of money for what feels like a short-term fix. What would it cost to make braces out in the area? Group 4, these are other things. We started other threads we started to build. We need a high school library. We need a central office for the high school, middle school. We need an upgraded weight room athletics facility. Consider building a new high school on our 40 acres. Where's information on Main Street? Add movable wall, close off cafeteria. You can see what they voted on. For Weyauwega Elementary, office and entry needs to be secure. Administration conference room needed. Where's the computer lab going. There's been consideration of reconfiguring the elementary to accommodate Fremont schools. So we started to get this vibe of what each group started to think about. 5. There's an auditorium, secure entries, wanted things checked. Combine elementary and add a second wing on the back of Weyauwega Elementary. Is it disrespectful to say Weyauwega Elementary?
No, Weyauwega Elementary.
Weyauwega or Weyauwega?
Weyauwega.
Oh, South Dakota guy. Group 5, starting to list the other things because we weren't addressing everything. We weren't trying to address everything. We were trying to build a world around what do you want, what do you need, what is important. Started that one off, and we had a few new people, so we started giving into other spaces in 21st century schools, large group forum rooms. As I said before, there's various size spaces in schools to what we feel successful opportunities for students. You got that, we talked about the individual size, the size for 4, the size for 10, the classroom. This is typically 150, 5 classes. You have a World War II vet in town, you want to bring 5 social studies classes together. 5 groups that are studying history and have them speak. They got good sight lines, they have good acoustics, you got a projector or 2. People face each other. It's not a lecture hall, it's about sharing information. Often boards have their board meetings in these. We'd probably be having this meeting in there. It's a professional meeting space. Some box lunches that businesses rent them out and use them at lunch. The baseball, my kids go to a school that has one, and their morning baseball meetings in there. It's a place to gather a lot of people and good acoustics to be heard. With breakout areas I've been talking about. Libraries, the highways, the corridors, the connections. Some of the schools were exposing the structure, exposing mechanical. We're putting signs throughout the school that are teaching kids about building science, about saving water. There's a wall here that has measurements on it, and they stand down below and they see how tall Einstein was, or Elvis, or a giraffe. We have markers on the floor, if you can see down there, feet and meters, so that they can have projects where they measure things. They're around it every day. They start to get it as a learning tool. We like to bring natural light into the middle of the building, and some cow wall or skylights, and open the first floor, the second, so that you know where you're at. You can communicate, see your way around. Classrooms and daylight. I talked about the importance of light and learning, many studies out there. In the 30s, 20s, they really did a good job because they had a lot of big windows in the 20s, and then we came in, but you notice they were high, and that high light is the important light because it goes deep into the space, and you don't need artificial light. Then we started saying in the 70s, windows are bad because we're losing energy, and it's cost us a lot. And so we put little windows or no windows in, or we covered those 20s up and just left a little slot. Well, you only need about 1/3 of view window outside to see if it's darker light or to see things. But it's the upper windows that are critical as you start to bring light in. Put the lights on daylight sensors so that if there's enough light coming from outside, your lights automatically turn on. So that's common in the classrooms. So we just showed various areas. So we kind of got them going. Top loading gym's a nice feature where you come in on the upper level, which is the main level, and and the crowd goes down into the bleachers from this upper level, and they never touch the court. They come back out, go to the bathroom, go to concessions. The locker rooms are downstairs, so the athlete always stays in the lower level, and the crowd always stays up above. Principals like it, they can monitor pep rallies real nice, and dads like it, they can walk around and still see the game, and moms, when they're at a game, when they go to the concession, you can still be tied to the game. It's the gym becomes more open. It's not such a closed box where you enter the one door. It's kind of a community atmosphere. We talked to them about outdoor learning areas. Learning doesn't have to just happen in the classroom or the library, but in between, and why not outside? It is cold here where we all live, but it's nice here too. And to go outside, this is an extension outside a cafeteria. Cafeteria, kids are allowed to go out. You can see it's kind of sized, so you can bring a class or two out. Before and after school, it's another idea of commons gathering. Various furniture we talked about, the individual group area. So, I showed you those responses that they gave us. So they gave us the responses that kind of created the backbone of what we're going to do in each building for repair and possibly remodeling for option one. But they also wrote a lot of things on there, on the questionnaire that I showed you the pictures of. And so we tried to quantify for you so that you could see group, you'll see on the top of the right, group 1 through 5, okay? So there was a question on there about closing Fremont, or they wrote a question, I don't remember, but all 5 groups put a reference to closing it, okay? Considering building a new high school was mentioned by 4 of the 5 groups. Secure entry had a lot of energy in your groups, 4 out of 5. Larger weight room, 3 out of 5. New IMC, 3 out of 5. Central office for middle school and high school, 3 out of 5. Then you start getting your 2 out of 5 and 1 out of 5. So we took everything that had 3 out of 5 and we incorporated it into the options. So we talked about option 1 before. So option 1, they started to come in and they voted on items for option 1 of what they felt was important. They'll see if there's a 2 or a 1 that wasn't included in the cost. All the 3s, 4s, and 5s from their work was included. So high efficiency on the top. They did the 2, if 2 didn't make it for exterior walls. Toilet remodeling made it, exterior windows made it. Get in the remodeling science labs, which is a very common thing. We go in many high schools across America, and science labs are like toilets. They're just worn out. There's a lot going on in a science lab. You got chemicals, you got experiments, you got pounding. Yours are undersized, yours are overworked. It's really a common thing to go in and to really gut them and put new countertops on, new faucets. Yours are the faucets. It's hard to shut off. Get a safer gas shut-off valve closer to the staff, more control. New lights, proper size for lab and lecture. So that was increased 3 science labs. Add breakout space, add 4 votes. Let's see. Expand the cafeteria, add student toilets in the cafeteria area, auditorium improvements, so that we started to build a world. It's not the final thing, but we're starting to, I like to put prices on things because I feel it's hard for people to value some things when they don't have a number to it. Is that a $20 million thing or a $200 thing? So that's always my hang up. So I try to give them, it's not the perfect price. It's an estimation from the type of work it is. When plumbing's involved in a remodeling, it's much more money than if it's just repainting something or cosmetic. If you're changing the use of a space, it's more money than if you're keeping the same use in that space. So toilet remodelings are aggressive because you typically get into needing new fixtures, new hangers, the pipes behind the walls to a point. You end up taking it out, as far as you have to. It's always a tough decision. Exhaust fans, floors, ceilings, wall material. Toilets after 50 years, there's just a lot of absorption and odors and wear. So again, the votes on that previous thing of, okay, high efficiency for middle school, toilet remodeling, and breakout space. So half of them made it. For the elementary, you can start to see high efficiency toilets, windows, gym addition, turn the old gym into a cafeteria, library, create a safe entry, administration, conference rooms. Fremont on option 1 is still open. And so these are the items, high efficiency mechanical, exterior, toilets, windows and doors, gym addition, safe entry. Okay. So then we start getting a total, 23.7 million for option 1 from the things the group decided was important. It doesn't mean they're right, but it's a feel for you to start seeing what items were important. And I don't know if you have all these packets, but Scott has all these packets from all the meetings. You do have them. Sorry it's so much. I believe that you kind of need a whole layer of detail to start to understand the whole. So we looked at a couple more options. In the first meeting, we had them also break down and just start talking about what other options would they be interested in. Okay? So option 2 starts to tear some buildings down. Okay? The old rule used to be if you're going to spend 60% or more on a facility to remodel and repair it, you should consider building new instead of spending. So if you're going to spend $10 million or $6 million to fix the mechanical, electrical, the roofs, the windows, if you're going to spend $6 million on that part and $10 million to build new, you should consider new. Now, in the last 5 years, with the economy being very difficult, the Department of Ed has backed off on that. That's the Minnesota Department of Ed I'm referencing. They've backed off. They actually wouldn't approve a project if when we submit it for our review and comment. If we were in that zone, they would question that if the school district was investing wisely, putting $6 million in when they could have a new one for 10 for the next 30 to 50 years. So that's wavered a little, but it is a consideration. So as you noticed, we were spending some money on that high school classroom portion, the narrow corridors, the small rooms, the inadequate size science, and the elementary. We are demolishing just part of the elementary. So you can start to see the proposed demolition. And so then we're going to close Fremont in this idea. We're going to bring all of Fremont to Weyauwega. So we're going to bring everything here. We're going to put a building addition onto the high school, so you don't get, some were saying a new high school. Well, this is taking care of the student commons, some classrooms, the administration, the cafeteria commons, some of the IT. So, we don't address everything. We don't do a good job with the weight room or locker rooms and this, but, we're trying to peck away. We're trying to get to a thread, stay with the thread. The additions for the elementary, you start to be able to get the gyms and some of the right-sized classrooms and cafeterias. So, you know, I'm not here to necessarily design this for you at this point. But again, I think it helps to start to see if you did do an addition to the high school, if you did tear the classroom portion down, you can put the admin in the middle. For the middle school and high school, which was a goal, so your entry can be here, the classroom can be here, if you remember, so I can serve the middle school and high school and the commons. And we got the student commons, which could be that two-story space to bring light down in. We could put a two-story classroom right in the front. That starts to redefine some of the drop-off. So then off of this, you get the music supporting the, you built a new auditorium, toilets, and your cafeteria then would come over off your kitchen. That would serve more of a public space for gyms. You get your new weight room, other, you know, backstage loading dock, still coming into the kitchen for loading dock in the back. So just trying to take care of some of the classrooms, you know. I'm not here to design again, but the classrooms could be, you know, 10 classrooms around the breakout area with their toilets and lockers. Out of this part here, so you got special ed and classrooms intermixed with science in there also. I can do that in 2 stories. You have a vertical stair that connects them. You know, you can start that 2-story common, and they could be above looking down into the cafeteria. So trying to bring natural light into all the classrooms into the middle of the building, give yourself more of a commons. So in option 2, the idea that we had in option 1 holds up. Trying to bring natural light into the center of the classroom, center of the building for the middle school. And then the elementary school. So again, a 2-story, you know, so we don't get so spread out. Becoming a bigger building. You got your main entry here with your admin. Okay, we turn the old gym into a cafeteria. Have more room for the serving. We can get our secure entry of putting the admin in this space. You're remodeling it. And then it's pretty much all new. We get a couple gyms. We get a bigger population. We can have a high school court size, a couple volleyball courts. You got your early childhood and earlier ages close to the entry. You come into here and you got a 2-story for all of your grades. Put the older students upstairs, your younger students downstairs. You have the same breakout, natural light in all the classrooms. You can move your library down into that corner where you had a few classrooms where your library was, but there's a library in a classroom you can take over. So again, not trying to design it, just trying to show scale, relationships. I don't think the group liked the 2-story idea, but that's really not what we're after. We don't, you know, it's all 1 story, that's fine. You got land. I mean, you do have playground space that you start to encroach on, but a lot of schools do 2-story and some schools don't. So you start to price this out. So you have this basically $17 million for the high school. Again, I like to do this because people say, why does it cost so much? And I always tell them it doesn't have to if you don't build some things. You don't want that 3rd gym. You don't want the auditorium. You know, you got your 4 spaces here. These would break it down as they're all kind of different cost categories. You know, how much are you going to put into your site? It's nice that you have a site here. You know, site development costs, purchasing site, building roads, you put pipes underground, the pavement, the fields, you know, that's a big cost of a high school that, you know, can run $4 or $5 million pretty easy. You know, 500,000, you get off pretty good. You know, you don't need a competition field, you don't need a press box and lights and track and a stadium. You know, you build a new high school, you got all these tags that come along with it typically. You're gonna have to demo the building. I think it's about $1.75 a feet for inflation. So if you would run a bond referendum, and I'm not here selling bond referendums, but I have to set my price some time in the future. You get 4% inflation a year in construction, 3.8 is the last 30-year average. We're seeing much more of a spike now since this last 5 years, and everybody seems to be building now. But I inflated all these numbers that you see in all these presentations to a June 2016 bid. So if you went November 15 into the referendum, it takes about 6 to 8 months to design and draw it, and then go out to bid. So inflation is that. For every 25 million, the price tag goes up $1 million, which is 4%. It's kind of a big picture. So you got probably going to want to put furniture in. This isn't a high percentage for furniture and technology. It's counting on reusing quite a bit of stuff, but we have to budget that for you. Permits, fees, testing, commissioning, boring, offsite development, and contingency. So that gets you around 17 million. So you can make it higher, you can make it lower, you can build more. That's just for that addition part, I should say, new high school addition. These are the items that you wanted to remodel that are on top of that in the high school. That's another 8 million, so you have 25 for high school. Elementary addition, 14 million, same little talk. Another 2 million, so the 14 plus 2 is 16 for that. So you can start to see option 2 quickly gets to 43 million. So there's no cost in for carrying Fremont down. That could be a consideration if that is what would happen in this. Sometimes you don't tear them down, you use them for community buildings, sometimes you sell them. We've been part of many of those different ideas. So, option 3. Okay, let's try tearing the whole high school down. What happens? Okay? Again, everything's new. Okay? All the white on the right is new. Not here to design it, more to talk about the land it would take up. So it appears to me that an admin between the middle school and high school is smart. It appears that the commons, the cafeteria, work with the gyms and the kitchen and the auditorium, new weight rooms, fitness rooms, ag, art, tech ed, classrooms, auditorium, music. We could still do this to the Weyauwega Elementary, but we're not putting a big addition on because this one keeps Fremont. So the high school, again, all these costs. You can put the third gym on this one, or take it off, 1.7 million. These are all turnkey costs too, for project costs. So 26 to 33 million. The elementary, another 5.6 in this option. Fremont, 4.6. Option 3 gets kind of the same as option 2. So what that tells me is you can build a new high school or build half a new high school for the same money, if that's important to you. But you don't quite get the renovations of the elementary. Option 2, you got kind of a newer elementary, and you have 2 facilities. So option 4 has a new elementary and a new high school. Okay, so let's just keep pushing it. Let's continue to see what happens. So again, not trying to design the high school, I'm just trying to acknowledge I studied your master schedules and your middle programs and the size of the spaces and put the number on it. And then let's tear tear down Weyauwega Elementary and abandon Fremont and build a new 525 to 550 plus early childhood elementary. So this is one we just did in New Richmond, Wisconsin. Big size. So what's nice is your entry, the administration. Kind of this side is the public side, it's the gym and the cafeteria. This is the public or private side with early childhood and kindergarten. There's 1, 2, and 3, 5, central library, special ed, cafeteria and gym, building services, loading dock, music, some specials. So, and again, I'm not here pushing this design, but it's the size of space that you need for that many students in the class. So, ironically, this is kind of similar too. The reason the high school's higher number is deals with auditorium and third gym station and a couple site components. So, kind of a summary. First option, a reminder, just to fix things. Take a few classrooms out, get natural light breakout, add a few gyms to the elementaries. Option 2 starts to tear some things down and add some things in, both for schools. Option 3 and 4 puts the high school running facility. So this is where they got into that. So then we brought them back together on October 9th. They were doing real good. Proud of them. Congratulated them. And on the end of the last meeting, I like to take children's temperature, and if they're not feeling good, see how it's going. And we took their temperature before they left on October 9th, and said, you know, what do you think so far? And so you can see half the group thought option 4 was the best. Option 2 had the next most appeal at this point. We're all still growing and learning, so this was kind of a midterm exam. We asked them, what other things haven't we thought of? You know, you can come up with 100 options, which I'm willing to do. But we're kind of testing the waters here. And another option came up in the last meeting that they wanted option 5. And option 5 basically says let's use our best facilities for our schools for the next 50 years, and let's then add on a new addition for what we took away.